I'm just finishing up taping off the bumper here. So when I use my Dr. Color chip and my paint scratch, I don't get it all over the place. It's better to take your time and just tape off everything as best you can. So you can be a little bit more liberal with all the stuff we're going to put on here, because a lot of this stuff has just been sandblasted so much. You know, it's going to be less about picking specific spots to fix this, and I might, you know, instead of doing that, I might just kind of spread it around everywhere and sort of rub it in and blend it in, and then go back with the blending solution and massage it in, blend it in, and take off the excess. There's a lot of work here to be done, but it's not something you want to rush through. And I'll probably pop out these fog lights too. There's a lever in here somewhere that I need to release, and they'll just pop out. So I might end up taking those out as well. So let me get all my paint scratch, Dr. Color chip stuff organized here, and we'll get started. Here's the Dr. Color chip stuff. I mean, it should be plenty to do the front bumper here. And I forget exactly how much this costs. I'm guessing like 30, 40 bucks or something for their kit. You get that, you get the blending solution, and a few of these little toothpick brushes. I got plenty of these, but they give you a few. And then they give you, if I can get it out here, a sort of clear plastic squeegee. And we may use this to sort of blend it in as well. I've never used the squeegee before. I have plastic ones that I've used, but not this sort of clear rubber one. So we'll give that a try and see how that works. Obviously, you want to wear gloves with this stuff. They only give you one glove, which I don't know why. I got a whole box of them, so you want to wear 2 gloves so you don't get it on either hand, because you will be using both hands. So let me get all my shit together here and get halfway organized, so there's a method to the madness here, and we'll get started. Okay, first things first, shake up the Dr. Color chip really well. And it should be a color match, so it should be good to go. You want to shake up the sealant too, the blending solution while you're at it. Now the instructions say, when you do this Dr. Color chip stuff, they say to take one of the brushes and put the paint next to the chip and then smear it across the chip. I don't always do it that way. Sometimes I actually put it directly on the chip and then smear it, because sometimes your chips, they're deep enough where when you smear it across, it's not thick enough to build up paint in the chip in order to fill it in. So, you know, for small sandblasting parts, you can probably get away with that. But for other bigger chips, you may have to actually put paint in the chip and then smear it around. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid off this paint. And since there's a little bit of paint on the cap, I'm just going to use the paint that's on the cap and put some paint on there. And just kind of go to town with it here. And I'm actually using the brush to help smear it too. You know, sometimes what the directions say and how to do it, and what gets the best results, maybe two different things. Gonna need a little bit more. Okay. Now let's use this. And blend it. It's going to look like shit till you use the blending solution to take it off. But I can already see some of these chips. They're too deep. You've got to actually put some paint in inside the chip, or they're never going to get covered up. So you might need more than one coat. I just use my finger to blend sometimes. And it depends how long you need to let this sit. Sometimes I let it sit a little bit longer just so the paint, you know, I don't pull so much paint off I have to redo everything again. 2-3 minutes, you know, somewhere in that neck of the woods. I'm not going to do any more because this is sort of my test bed here. I want to see what the results are here before I tackle any place else. So let's let this sit for a couple minutes and then we'll start taking the paint off and blending it in and see how it looks. All right, it's been a few minutes. I'm going to take the blending solution, put some on the cloth here, and like a quarter-sized area, and start taking it off. You can see taking off a lot of the excess. And you don't want to rub too hard because you're just trying to take off all the paint that wasn't filled in the chips. So just keep going back and forth and you'll see it keeps just taking a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more off. Once we do that a bit, let's take our microfiber here and to see how it came out. Not too bad. I mean, you're still going to see the sandblasted areas where there are indentations. You can't, you know, fix parts of the bumper that have actually been removed. You know, they just get that sandblasting look to it where it's a million microscopic little specks on it. Can't do anything about that. So when you look at it in the light, you're going to see those, you know, those shadows and stuff moving around on all those little specks, but we're just trying to fill them in as best we can. So looking at my progress here, I could easily do another coat in that area. And that's what I'm probably going to do. But it looks like at least the color is matching okay, so we got that going for us. And again, I almost just paint this on if you got really bad chips. You know, just kind of go ape with it, because you can always take it back off. You know, almost use your brush to blend it in. It's not what the instructions say to do, but and the nice thing about working in the garage here with these lights is you can see everything. So in theory, once we fix these and we get outside, you know, when we polish this back up again and buff it out and wax it, you're not going to be able to see a whole lot. Especially, you know, we're 12 inches away here. Nobody's ever going to be down this close to the car. And just take your time with it, man. You don't want to be in a hurry. Oh, there's a lot here. You can tell this has never been done before. And what you can do too is once you like put a little coat of this paint on, you know, after a minute or two, wherever you put it will kind of dry. You can go back over it with kind of a second light coat to kind of fill in those areas where your chips have really they're kind of deep, so you need to fill them in. So you can use a layer or two of this paint to do that. You just need to let it dry in between. You know, as you can see, this could take a while. You know, we got to do this whole bumper. This could take a couple of days to do right. You know, anybody else doing it would probably take them an hour. But I don't see how you could do this properly in an hour. You need to really take your time with this. It's one of those things where, again, you want to do it once, you want to do it right. I usually touch up the front bumper on my 930 about once every spring or once every 2 springs. It holds up pretty well. All right, so let's let that sit for a little bit and then we'll come back to it. Well, it's a lot better than it was. It's never going to be perfect, but all things considered, for a $40 fix, not too bad. So, you know, it's taken us 20 minutes just to do about 5 inches by 1 inch. We got a long way to go, and that's not nearly the worst part. And when we're all done, we might even need to go back again and just find some spots that need touched up a bit more that may have been missed, or maybe we pulled a tad too much paint off. But in any case, there we go. So I'm going to work on this part of the bumper for a while. There's no use me talking you through it, since now you know how I was doing it and you can do it yourself. So we'll just see how much progress we can make here. Big difference, big difference. Touched up all these spots along here, up through here, just letting it dry. Oops, I missed a spot. Eventually I'll take it off. did I miss that spot? It's the biggest spot there. Again, I do this completely different than what the instructions say. I more or less just paint this stuff on, smear it all over, and then take it off with the solution. It's the rubbing part that's so damn boring. I don't mind the process of using the little paintbrush to fix the chips. That's kind of gratifying. It's this task that's just, it's not very fulfilling. And the ones that you keep fixing and you wipe off and they're not getting any better, you may have to go at them with legitimate touch-up paint and fill them in. Sometimes I forget where I've used the Dr. Color chip and I miss a spot, wiping it off, and then I find it later on and it's harder to get off. Okay, calling it for the night. Let's take a look at our progress here. Let me grab my light here. It was pretty bad when I started. Again, we've probably gone from a 3.5 footer up front to an 18-incher. I did about 2 or 3 coats everywhere, a Dr. Color chip, and I'm probably going to have to come back and do 1 or 2 more to get it to where I want it. But for, let's see, I started at, actually I did a little bit before dinner. I probably spent 6 or 7 hours on the front here. I probably got another 2 or 3. So there's 10 hours on the front. So it's not going to go fast, but we are making progress. And it looks, I mean, it looks a lot better. You know, if you stand 4 or 5 feet away, I mean, you can't see anything. It looks perfect.